Good afternoon. Today I have a very special guest with me, a repeat guest, and her name is Julia Bickett Hubble, and she's in Washington, D.C. So we're on Zoom together because we wanted to show you a special activity that we're doing for Jenny, who is going to be having a baby. So we're going to be doing loom knitting and making her a baby blanket. And I've never done it before. Julia has done it, and she's going to show you some of the projects that she's done. But before we start, I just thought it would be interesting, Julia, because you're in DC, for you to tell us a little bit about what it's been like being in DC over the inauguration. We've had a lot of conversations about it, and I know that you're not really in city center, but in general, what do you feel is the tone and the tenor, and how do you see any difference between before and after inauguration?
It's a good question, and unfortunately, I think it's hard to answer because our contact with other folks is pretty limited because of the pandemic, because we want to keep everyone safe. So I remember after 2016, the 2016 election, the mood in the city before and after felt palpably different because the day after, a lot of government employees were going to their jobs on the metro, just completely unsure about what the next 4 years would look like as a federal employee. But I was able to pick up on that because I was taking the metro and because there was a sense of communal existence. And the pandemic has made that really difficult to pick up on. So I've only been to the grocery store this week. Felt very much like the grocery store felt 2 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago, although better stocked than it was 6 months ago. It's a hard question to answer. I know that a lot of my friends that I've spoken to are grateful, but not necessarily relieved. I think there's still a real feeling in the air that we're not through it yet. So, but also not all of them are based in DC. Where I live in the suburbs, it has very much felt very day to day. A lot of the city employees are working from home right now. And so it's hard to communicate with other folks about how they're feeling.
Okay, fair enough. And there's been snow in DC, so you've been making some snow angels, which is fun. Well, let's get to our activity and take our minds off politics for a minute and talk about loom knitting. Now, I'm going to show the package that you sent me because we're doing this together. So Julia's making some of the squares and I'm making some of the squares. Although I will say that loom knitting, I think, is mostly for doing round things.
Actually, here, let me, common misconception, right? So what I'm holding is a loom knitting set, which you can buy on Amazon or at Michael's. And this is what a loom looks like. It's not like a weaving loom, which is what you probably would imagine when you hear that word. It is a circle.
Okay, so this is what comes in the box.
Yes, so it comes with a circle with these pegs. And there's one on the outside that's this starting peg here, right? You can see.
Which one am I using? The orange one?
So for this particular project, we're gonna use the second smallest one. So for you, it's the blue one.
Second smallest. Okay, I'm using the blue one. Got it.
And so for those following along at home, which I encourage you to try out a project, look into loom knitting. This particular project that we're doing uses a loom that has 31 pegs. You can use looms that have different numbers of pegs for different types of projects. It is round and it looks like you can only knit round things on it, but in fact, we're gonna knit something flat, which is totally possible if you just don't knit all the way around. So first,
show us some of the round things that you've knitted.
Yeah, so let me show you some of the things that I have previously knit. I knit 13 of these hats for Christmas. Right, they were super easy.
Cute.
They took probably 2 to 3 hours each. It's a fabulous free pattern that we can put on the blog. And this is how I learned to loom knit. So I started here, and I think it's a fabulous beginner project. They work up really quickly. They're made of a very accessible yarn that you'll find at Michael's, and they look really high quality when you're done. So that's great. Something else that I just finished, I didn't bring it. Okay, you'll just have to cut that out.
No, I can show you something that Julia did. This is something that she did with the Loom.
All right, so that's completely rude. That was an early project.
This is so cute.
It's supposed to be maybe a cat. It's like a cat without a tail, perhaps.
Oh no, this is a little bear. This little baby bear, and this is for Abby when she comes to visit Grandma.
Good, great. I can knit things that do make more sense than that, but I'm really glad. Let me show you what we're doing today.
Okay.
We're going to be knitting this square.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yes, you are. I promise you are. And at home,
Okay.
I promise you can do it too.
All right.
If you can knit this square, you can knit essentially anything on a loom. It only involves 2 different types of stitches, both of which are very easy. So first, let's talk about our tools, right? Mom already helpfully threw all of her looms all over. So we're going to use the one.
No, I have the blue one right there.
Okay, great. So we have our loom.
Yeah.
We're going to be using.
Right, I have to show something else. Look what the package says. It says you can make a purse.
Wow.
Which no one would want to carry around. Plus, oh, there's another purse. But look, sockies.
Socks are very popular.
Sockies, yeah. So there's a lot of different choices. I think mostly this is a quilt, not a quilt, but that's sort of what we're making, except we're doing it in squares. But really, the hats are the big deal. Hats look great.
So what we're going to use today is this Bernat blanket yarn. Mine is a little bit unraveled because I've been knitting with it. But
wait, I have to show something. This is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Bernat blanket yarn. And Julia tried different yarns for the blanket, and some of them were simply too thin and didn't work up into sort of a soft, cuddly kind of blanket. So
actually, I have one of those right here. I'm a big proponent of nothing is wrong. It's just whether it's what you want or not, right?
Right.
So this is something I knit earlier, right? It's made of a thinner yarn. And you can see that it ends up kind of being a netting.
Kind of like it looks a little more like crochet, really.
Yeah, you perhaps could use this for a bag or something. But this wasn't exactly the blanket that I was looking for, so I decided that this yarn was no good. It's not wrong, it's just not what I was trying to make. And so we switched. This is made of Lion brand, like Thick and Quick wool yarn, which is great for clothing. And then this is the Bernat blanket yarn. So let's talk about the other tools that will come in your package, right? So Mom, you'll see that it comes with a hook, right? Do you see this hook?
Yeah, mine is red.
That's exciting. Very good. So it looks a little bit like a crochet hook, but it's not hooked all the way under. It's just a little L shape, right? You should also see probably a yarn needle.
Yep.
I also like to have handy a pair of scissors because you'll use them eventually. But we don't need.
I didn't bring one.
That's fine. And then I also sometimes like to keep a tape measure handy, just because since we're making squares for a patchwork quilt, I like to make sure that each side is the same length. But
this is going to be a disaster. Yours are
not
going to be all perfect patches, and mine going to be like wiggy waggy.
All right. Well, with that attitude,
he's going to know, oh, my grandma made all the wiggy waggy ones.
And won't that be special?
Yes.
All right. Do you feel ready to start?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel completely ready, but I don't have a scissors, which I feel like I might need. No?
You don't need them yet. You won't need them until we cast off. Okay. So again, this is what we're going for, and we're going to try and make, probably 5 by 8 or something like that, of 5 squares down and maybe 5 squares across, maybe 8 squares down. We'll see. This is currently a 5-inch by 5-inch square. So what we're going to do, take your yarn. You got the end of your yarn? Okay, we're gonna cast on.
Do we have the same color?
No, I have dusty rose, and I think you have vintage white, or just
Like a cream white. It's pretty.
Yeah. First, you're gonna make a slip knot, right? So wrap it around. Don't make that face.
I don't know how to do a slip knot.
That's why we're doing a knit along, so I can tell you how to do it.
Knit along. Okay, I'm knit along.
So you wrap it around your fingers, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you take this end, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Take and you slip it through. I did it wrong.
I did it.
Slip knot.
Honestly, I was worried. I was worried that I would never be able to do step 1.
You did it. You did it. Okay. Got your loom?
Yeah.
You have this little knot, right?
Yeah.
Hook it onto that outside protrusion.
Yep. Deedle. Okay.
We did it. No, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Right? That's practically the hardest part.
I hope so, because that was really hard.
Now,
I just want to say I don't have any knitting experience, and I don't have any crocheting experience. I have a lot of embroidery experience.
Yeah. Loom knitting is great for folks who don't have knitting experience, right?
Okay. Okay.
It's going to be totally fine. This is a beginner intro.
Okay.
Okay. So you take the side of your yarn that's connected to your ball, right?
Yeah.
And now we're going to do the first half of casting on. Means you take the string, take it behind the peg to the left. So I have the point on the outside pointed at me.
Okay.
Easier for you to loom knit, so I'll show the camera.
Okay. So I have it now pointed at me.
Great. So take that long end of the string and wrap it around the back of the peg to the left. Great. So you see, that's what we've done. Take a full circle around that peg.
Yep.
And then wrap the peg next to it. Right? So you're going to do little loops around these pegs as you go. And you're going to do 10 of them going left. And 10.
Okay. All right. Hold on. All right.
Perfect. Great.
Well, Julia, I think that is really, I feel very successful. I tied my knot and I did the first element of casting on.
You did.
So I think that this is a really worthwhile project, and I'm going to save this and do a part 2 with you where we'll actually do the loom knitting so that I can eventually be able to do a little bear. But you know what? I love you so much for being so generous with me and with your time. And I think that the baby's really going to appreciate this, that her aunt and her grandma made it. And we'll definitely do a part 2 next week so that people can see how to do the rest of the loom knitting.
Sounds great.
Okay.
I'll talk.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.